The MSI Creator Z16 is the first collaboration that MSI has done with a fashion brand. But sitting at $4,000, will this be relegated to people with deep pockets who are just after the design, or will it stand up to the test? Let's find out. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Epic PC channel, and today we're sitting down with the Creator Z16 laptop from MSI. Specifically in this model, it features a NVIDIA RTX 3060 at 65 watts TDP, an Intel i7-11800H, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and a 1TB NVMe SSD. It also features a 16-inch QHD screen with mini LED backlighting, but more on that later in the video. To start off, this laptop is quite interesting because it's MSI's first collaboration with a fashion brand, and that fashion brand is Fragment Designs. They've had some notable collaborations with the likes of Nike and Off-White, but now more recently MSI. I kind of find it interesting that MSI is collaborating with a street fashion brand, and it's not really my style, but if it's not your style as well, they do have this same laptop in a space gray finish. The most interesting feature of the Z16 is in fact the screen. Now MSI is focusing on more of a creator market rather than a gaming market for this screen, and they have spent a lot of time and effort in perfecting this screen. It uses QHD resolution and is also backlit by HDR1000 mini LEDs, and that means the brightness is going to be 1000 nits. This is the same technology that Apple uses for their Apple Pro XDR display. The strangest feature about the screen that I found is that it's produced in 16:10 with a ratio of 1.618, which is apparently the golden ratio. This means the resolution on the screen is actually 2560 by 1600 when a normal screen would be 2560 by 1440. In practice, the use of 16:10 is kind of annoying, and often when you're playing YouTube and playing games, you get annoying black bars because they either weren't rendered in the right resolution to be used at 16:10, or it wasn't able to be played at 16:10 in the case of games. This might be good in some creative software like Photoshop or video editing software, but for a normal display, this is not really that good. The model does run at 165 Hz, which makes it pretty smooth for gameplay, but unfortunately, it doesn't reach nearly as high enough of those levels to get to 165 Hz, but we will talk about this later in the benchmarking section. We had the opportunity to review the MSI Stealth 15M earlier in the year, and both of these laptops use a thin metal design. They both use the NVIDIA RTX 3060 at a TDP of 65 watts, so it'll be interesting to see these head to head. The Z16 does have a more powerful CPU, so it should edge out the 15M in most of these tests. But now on to benchmarking. In DirectX 12 testing using TimeSpy, the Z16 scored 6,797, while the 15M scored 5,958. That means the Z16 edged out the 15M by 13%. This is again mostly down to its physics score as well as its combined score, but it's nice to see that the higher tier 11th gen CPUs actually do perform better in benchmarking. In DirectX 11 testing Firestrike, the Z16 scored 15,512 and the 15M scored 14,072. This is a lower difference from the DirectX 12 result, but still a 10% leg up for the Z16 in the benchmarking. In Firestrike Ultra, the Z16 scored 4,064, while the 15M scored 3,994. This was the closest of the tests, with only a 2% performance difference, with both machines having some solid bottlenecking and throttling. We are going to use the MSI Sword 15 as a comparison in gameplay, as we had it most recently in the studio. In gameplay, we tested a range of different games and really wanted to put NVIDIA's new and improved DLSS to the test. So for that, we played the new and improved Metro Enhanced Edition. With DLSS set to ultra performance to maximize FPS, the game averaged 66 FPS and suffered a lot when there was action in the game. This was also with ray tracing turned to ultra, but when ray tracing was turned to normal, it didn't really make a huge performance difference. With DLSS turned off, the game was basically unplayable with FPS ranging between 20 and 30 FPS. This really does show the power of this new technology, although it barely scrapes at the 165Hz refresh rate on the screen. Dialing the game back to 1K made gameplay much more enjoyable with ranges of 80 to 90 FPS, and honestly to me there is not much discernible difference between the 1K and 2K on this screen. Both look amazing with the QHD screen and the mini LED backlighting. Testing Rise of the Tomb Raider benchmark came in at 67.12 FPS in 2K and 74.62 FPS in 1K. The Sword 15 on the other hand got a benchmark of 89.43 in 1K, so you can definitely see that the more power hungry GPU in the Sword performed better. In Doom on the Z16, it averaged out at 83 FPS, while the 1K performance was around 113 FPS average. The build quality of the MSI Z16 is honestly fantastic. It even rivals that of Razer Blade 17, which has a fantastic minimalistic design, but it does suffer some cooling performance issues. I think the MSI design fits somewhere in the middle in terms of cooling performance and minimalistic design, with much better cooling performance than the Razer Blade 17. It is finished with metal throughout, and it does have the Fragment Designs logo written on the top of it, taking center stage. It is also a very slim design and would be perfect for taking to work and putting in a bag. It does come with an included bag, and considering the price of this thing, you will probably want to use that bag. On the keyboard side, since this is one of MSI's upper tier models, they have used the SteelSeries integration on this specific model, and it gives a much more premium typing experience when you compare it to something like the Sword 15, which uses a generic keyboard. It also has individually backlit keys, which is not much nicer than the Sword 15, which has one single light and you can only have it red or turned off. On the speaker side, they've also done a really nice job of integrating a bank of speakers at the top of the machine near the screen, and this is way better than the integration that they have done on the Sword 15, where they mount the speakers inside the chassis. The audio is much crisper and less distorted than the Sword 15, and it could easily be used for content creation or just as a set of speakers to watch a movie with. On the left side, it features a USB, a Type-C, and a 3.5mm headphone jack, as well as an air outtake. On the right side, it features a USB, another Type-C, and an SD card reader. Honestly, this machine clearly doesn't have enough USB ports, but you can always get a Thunderbolt USB expander if you do require one. Just like the Sword, it doesn't have any IOs on the rear, but it does have two exhaust pipes to assist the cooling performance. The Z16 is much quieter than the Sword, with it being around 40 dBA under load, but this does translate into extra heat, especially with a more metal design that soaks up the heat just like the Razer blades. The top of the PC near the monitor gets to around 48 degrees, with the palm rest sitting at around 30 to 32 degrees under load, making it a pretty uncomfortable gaming experience if you are going to use this machine for gameplay. The MSI Creator Z16 is clearly a very well-built machine. It's meticulously designed and put together and rivals that of even the Razer Blade laptops, which I've long touted as one of the best designed computers of this year, but I think MSI is easily keeping up with their Z16 model. Although I don't really understand the whole collaboration with the street fashion brands, I like where MSI is going with this because it does open the door for some collaborations with other companies and some interesting designs in the future. You're also not really paying anything extra for the limited edition version, and you do get some pretty nice goodies in the box, so that can be an added bonus to you. The main draw card of this thing is obviously going to be the display with the QHD display with that mini LED backlighting, which is absolutely impeccable. It does come in a 16:10 ratio, which again, I don't really understand, but it might be good for some creative concepts or creative programs. The Z16 is definitely meant for more practical work performance with its stunning QHD screen and on some models its integration of the i9 11th gen CPUs, but it's hard to look past the price point of this thing. It comes in at 4,000 Australian dollars. When you compare it to something like the Sword 15, which honestly outperforms this machine, that thing comes in at $2,000. So you could purchase two Sword 15s for the price of one of these. That being said, if you are looking for a laptop to take to work and don't mind spending the extra money to get the QHD screen, then this is a very well put together machine. Thank you for watching the most recent video on the Z16 from MSI. Now, thanks to MSI, we do have two giveaways on this video. We have the MSI mystery bag as well as the MSI laptop bag, which is going to be perfect if you are thinking of picking up a gaming laptop. You can check out the links in the description on how to enter this giveaway. It's completely free. As always, if you like the content, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel.